So we'll do the invocation. We can all repeat together. Om Gyanam Timarandasya Gana Gana Salakaya Chakshumalitam Yena Tasma Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Karamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurum Vaisnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sarvajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Pitam Tam Sajivam Savadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Setam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha E Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabam Sutadevi Panamami Hari Priye Vancha Kapya Surubhishcha Kripa Sindhu Viebhacha Patitanam Pavanabhyo Vaisnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasudeva Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I'd like to welcome all the devotees to the regular Bhagavad-Gita class. It's so nice to see all of you. First, I'd like to seek the blessings of all the senior devotees here so that I may say something that's uplifting and inspiring to everyone and that I can learn from myself. Thank you all. So we are in the first chapter. This chapter, I really love this chapter. Of all the chapters, for some reason I like this. When I first read the Bhagavad-Gita, I couldn't make heads or tails of the first chapter. I was like, what is this all about? But, you know, as I progressed in Krishna consciousness, I began to appreciate this chapter so much more. And I think one of the reasons that I like it is, one, because I come from a military background. My father was in the Army for about 40 years. So I'm really into military strategy like that. And also because all these warriors, you know, gathering on this battlefield and all the intricacies involved are so very, very deep, and there's so much you can get out of this first chapter. You know, we can read it and never get tired of reading it. So I'm reading text 29 and 30. So we can all, you know, like I'll repeat 29 and the devotees can repeat, and we also can do 30 because there's only 2 of them, so everybody can get a chance to repeat, okay? Text 39, Vipatus Cha Sarire Me Roma Harshash Cha Jayate Gandivam Shamsate Hastat Twak Chaiba Paridayate Vipatus Chasirere Me Roma Harsas Chajayate Gandivam Shamsate Hastat Twak Chaiba Paridayate Na Cha Sakonomi Avastatum Brahmativa Cha Me Manaha Nimitani Cha Pashyami Viparitani Keshava Nacha Saknomya Pastatum Brahmativa Chame Manaha Nimitani Tapashyami Viparitani Keshava. Okay, so then we'll read the translation. By His very divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada. My whole body, this is text 29, my whole body is trembling. My hair is standing on end. My Bhagavad-Gita is slipping from my hand, and my skin is burning. Please repeat. My whole body is trembling. My hair is standing on end. My Bhagavad-Gita is slipping from my hand, and my skin is burning. Text 30. I am now unable to stand here any longer. I'm forgetting myself, and my mind is reeling. I see only causes of misfortune, O Krishna, killer of the Keshi demon. Okay, I'll read the purport to text 29. There are two kinds of trembling of the body and two kinds of standings of the hair on end. Such phenomena occur either in great spiritual ecstasy or out of great fear under material conditions. There is no fear in transcendental realization. Arjuna's symptoms in this situation are out of material fear, namely loss of life. This is evident from other symptoms also. He became so impatient that his famous Bhagavad-Gita was slipping from his hands, and because his heart was burning within him, he was feeling a burning sensation of the skin. All these are due to a material conception of life. Text 30, purport. Due to his impatience, Arjuna was unable to stay on the battlefield, and he was forgetting himself on account of this weakness of his mind. Excessive attachment for material things puts a man in such a bewildering condition of existence. Bhayam dvitya bini veshataha shat Bhagavatam 11:237. Such fearfulness and loss of mental equilibrium take place in persons who are too affected by material conditions. Arjuna envisioned only painful reverses in the battlefield. He would not be happy even by gaining victory over the foe. The words nimittani, viparitani are significant. When a man sees only frustration in his expectations, he thinks, why am I here? Everyone is interested in himself and his own welfare. No one is interested in the Supreme Self. Arjuna is showing ignorance of his real self-interest by Krishna's will. One's real self-interest lies in Vishnu or Krishna. The conditioned soul forgets this and therefore suffers material pains. Arjuna thought that his victory in the battle would only be a cause of lamentation for him. So first, we know that Arjuna is not a conditioned soul. He's an eternal associate of Krishna. So before we go and talk about his, what I would call his existential crisis, his beginning of his doubts, and which opened the way for Krishna to, explain everything to him and why he should fight. Okay, so first, we know the backdrop of this. In verses 1 through 13, and this is the preparations for war. So we know that Dhritarashtra was inquiring from Sanjaya, okay, what did they do and what did my sons do, So I was listening to a devotee from Chaupati who was also giving a class on this chapter, and he was saying that Dhrita means to hold on to, and Rashtra means kingdom. So Dhritarashtra's motives, he had all these motives for why he actually wanted to see this happen. First, he was desirous that his sons be the ones to get the kingdom. So we know that Dhritarashtra, not only was he blind physically, but he was blind spiritually. And so also he was doubtful of the victory of his sons. And then he was fearful because, this was a holy place, Kurukshetra, and he thought it might influence his sons to compromise. But still, he was hopeful that under the holy influence that the Pandavas would renounce their claim. All the way up until the end, he's still thinking that, okay, they're going to give it up and my sons are going to get, This is materialist. They hold on to the very end, wanting to get that benefit and thinking they're going to get it. So he was thinking, well, like the Pandavas, they're, righteous and they're in a holy place, so surely they will give it up, just because, they're all devotees. So they don't want, any bloodshed. They don't want to see any, violence on the battlefield. So I also want this to be interactive, so I want to ask this question. So we know that there are, some reasons why that you can which justifies violence against someone who does these certain things to you. So I'd like to put that out to all of you. What are the 6 kinds of aggressors which can justify your being violent with them? Can anyone tell me what they are?
Someone who administers poison, someone who attacks you with deadly.
Yes, so can you explain that one, how that happened in the...
Well,
what happened with that?
Was given a poisoned cake by Duryodhana.
Mm-hmm.
Duryodhana knew that Bhima was very fond of sweets and a voracious eater, and so he designed to poison him to death. So he gave him this cake, and when Bhima ate the cake, Vikradar, he digested it very quickly and he went to sleep. And then Duryodhana bound him up and tossed him into the river with stones on the body to drag him down.
Yes.
And it's a colorful story because there were many snakes there, venomous snakes that bit him, and it acted as an antidote to the poison that was in the cake. And so he was delivered from the poison effect. And Vasuki was very distraught that some of his followers, these snakes, had bitten this great pure devotee, and so he awarded him a drink that increased his strength.
To the tune of 100 elephants, something like that, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So he spent days there after drinking the beverage.
Right.
It became very powerful.
Yes.
But so this is one instance where the Kurus had done something that made it permissible to kill them.
Okay.
Because they had acted as aggressors and giving poison to Bhima.
Okay, so anyone can say of another one and explain the...
Setting fire.
I'm sorry?
Setting fire.
Yes. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, there's also Viras's plan too, is to
Mhm.
kill the Pandavas,
Yes.
the House of Mac.
Yes. They went away to, I forget the name of the place, because actually the name of the place was also one of the villages that Krishna asked for when he went as a peace aggressor. He asked for that place where his Shakuni's Purohit had built this house of black. Okay, anyone else?
Yes.
The wife and your daughter,
Yes.
and insults your wife and daughter.
Yes.
And that happened with Draupadi in a very egregious manner. It was horrible what was done to her.
Mm. Yes.
She was practically insulted in front of the whole assembly of men.
Yes, she was dragged by her hair. Actually, she was in seclusion because during that time, women who were on their cycle stayed in seclusion. They didn't come out, to be in front of anybody or their elders. So, I mean, can you imagine? So, Dushisham, the messenger from the court was sent 3 times, but Draupadi kind of talked him out of it, and he couldn't. He kept going back, telling Duryodhana, this and that. She's asking these questions. Can you answer her questions? And then Duryodhana got disgusted and sent Dushisham and said, he'll do it. What's that? That commercial. Sorry, it says, give it to Mikey. He'll do it. so he did it. So Dushisham went in and dragged her forcibly by her hair into the assemblies of all the Kuru kings. Can you imagine? Being dragged like that, particularly at that time, and because of the culture at that time.
Here.
Yes.
Also, Pandavas asked for 5 villages, and Kauravas will not give even a piece of land that will be contained on a needle.
Well, this can fall under plundering, because one of the other ones is one who plunders riches. So the crew, Duryodhana and his crew, they were always, when, like Yudhisthira would send Arjuna and his brothers out, to conquer different places, and they brought back so much riches, so much treasure. And as fast as it got there, Duryodhana and his crew would plunder it. They would spend it all, because of course that was, their mentality of still trying to destroy the Pandavas. And then that's the one you're talking, one who occupies another's land, because they took Indraprastha from them. So that comes under one who occupies, and then one who attacks with deadly weapons. Okay, so thank you. So we can talk about Duryodhana's fear. Actually, Duryodhana literally means a bad warrior, whereas Yudhisthira's name means always steady in the battle of life, and he honors principles before pleasure. But Duryodhana honored pleasure before principles. So they were more important to him. And because he was also instigated and encouraged by his uncle Shakuni. Actually, there's also, I'd like to give a little backdrop about Shakuni, because I read up on it yesterday. Shakuni is Gandhari's brother, and he was upset that his sister was given to Duryodhana, who was blind. Dhritarashtra, who was blind. And so, and the person who brought the proposal was Bhishma. So he vowed that he was gonna destroy. And if I read correctly, I also said there was something else that had happened in the past. I'm not exactly remembering what it was that affected him too, in connection with his relationship with the Pandavas and that whole clan. But so his vow was to destroy the whole clan. So that's why he was so instrumental in influencing Duryodhana. So Duryodhana, had this bad character, with the encouragement of his father, Dhritarashtra. So we know in chapter 16 of Bhagavad-Gita, in text 13, so these qualities of Duryodhana were very demoniac. So the person thinks, let me read it, 16:13. And this was his mentality. 13, 16. No, 16:13, right? Sorry, 16:13. Okay, so it says here, the demoniac person thinks, so much wealth do I have today, and I will gain more according to my schemes. So much is mine now, and it will increase in the future more and more. He is my enemy, and I have killed him. And my other enemies will also be killed. I am the Lord of everything. I am the enjoyer. I am perfect, powerful, and happy. I am the richest man, surrounded by aristocratic relatives. There is none so powerful and happy as I am. I shall perform sacrifices. I shall give charity, and thus I shall rejoice. In this way, such persons are deluded by ignorance. So this was definitely Duryodhana's character. He wanted to enjoy the kingdom, and he wasn't willing to move 1 inch. So this mentality is what brought him to the battlefield. Still, though, he was fearful and unsure, especially after he saw the arrangement of the Pandava army. And last year, when I gave the Gita class, I did some research on all the different formations, which they were all very intricate, and I was really so much interested in seeing how all these formations were done. So he was, of course we know he was very political and very diplomatic. So he pointed out the Maharathis in the Pandavas' army, but then he hid his fear by speaking boldly about his own army. So I'll just give a little definition about the Maharathis and what exactly means. The different ranks are Rati, Atirati, Maharathi, Ati Maharati, and Maha Maharathis. So the warriors in the Mahabharata war, none of them were of the last two ranks, which is Ati Maharati and Maha Maharathis. But these ranks, they're just not a reflection of the skills or the masteries of a weapon. It also includes knowledge of the battle formation, strategic skill set, tactical knowledge, past experience, ability to crack battle traps, and etc. Because an archer rode a chariot did not make him a Rati. The warrior needed to have some fearsome reputation and class battle experience as well. So that's a little backdrop. Also, in the beginning of the war, because of the culture of that time, there were certain protocols when you're doing war. And I didn't write them all out, but there are certain things that you don't do. There were, when you're doing this war, they were like, you didn't fight before sunrise, you didn't fight after sunset, you fought with equals. There were so many rules and regulations. But by the end of the war, and it started with Shakuni, because he instigated the killing of Abhimanyu. And Abhimanyu was killed by the 7 Maharathis, which, was not in the protocol of war. It's not what you do, It's only equal against equal. But they all 7 of them, including Karna, attacked and killed Arjuna's son, Abhimanyu. Okay. So then, we'll go on to verses 14 through 20, and these are called the signs of victory. So we can open it up again. Can someone talk about some of the signs of victories that were exhibited, by the Pandavas on the battlefield?
The blowing of the conch shells?
Yes. That's one, the blowing of the conch shells. The sounds of the transcendental conch shells which shattered the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra. They started shaking in their boots. Okay, when they heard it.
The fact that it took place on holy ground.
Yes, Dharma Setra, Kuru Setra. That's true. Anything else?
Hanuman was on the flag.
Yes, Hanuman was on that chariot flag. The flag was called the Kapi Dvijaha, and that's the one that flew over the Arjuna's chariot. That's true. And
the most important, that Krishna was in the side of Pandava.
that's the biggest one. He became, that was enough. He became Arjuna's charioteer. I'll get to that. I'll talk more about that later. Okay. And of course, so Krishna was on the side of the Pandavas, but there's something else about Krishna that means the sign of victory, and it has to do with one of his names. Yes, but there's something else too. What was one of Krishna's names? No. Close. Okay. Madhava. Right, Madhava. So wherever there's Madhava, there's who? The goddess of fortune. Okay, so there's the goddess of fortune there. That's one of the signs of victory and the Hanuman. Okay, and Anything else? Okay, this one is ISKCON. Okay, but there's another one that this one is Arjuna's chariot had been donated by Agnidev. So this indicated that this chariot was capable of conquering all sides wherever it was drawn over the 3 worlds. So, you know, he got this was when I read this, it reminded me of when Rama was fighting with Ravana, and Lord Ram was on foot, and everybody was disturbed that he was on foot. I can't remember who exactly, you know, but I think it maybe was Indra or one of the demigods to see that Rama was fighting with Ravana on foot. So they sent, Indra sent his charioteer, start with an M, I can't remember, who brought his chariot down and became the charioteer for Ram to fight with Ravana. Okay, and one other sign of victory was that all the arrangements were made by the Lord. So, in such auspicious conditions arranged by the Lord for his eternal devotee, lay the signs of assured victory. So we covered all about that. But there were some other things that happened that I thought also indicated victory for the Pandavas. One is when Yudhisthira went out, got off his chariot and went out to meet his superiors, Dronacharya and Bhishma. And everybody thought, oh, why is Yudhisthira walking across the battlefield? Of course, Duryodhana probably thought that, you know, like he's going to give up. He's going to surrender. Yay, okay. But that's not what happened. He was asking permission from his superiors. Do I have permission to fight with you? And what did they do? They gave him blessings. That means, yes, we're going to win. Because you get the blessings of the elders, even though they were on the other side. And there's another one, too, is that during the gambling match, Bhima got so angry about what was going on that he vowed to break Duryodhana's thigh. And he also vowed to break Dushashan's arm and to drink his blood. So Krishna honors his devotees' words. So that's also, you know, where they were in for, you know, big, you know, loss. That was one of the ones, okay. So then we come to verses 21 through 27. And this is a section known as Krishna as Bhagavad-Gita. So does anyone know how when Krishna became the charioteer of Arjuna, do you know how is the chariot driven? I mean, how is it directed? Directed. How is the direction given to the charioteer to know where to turn? Right. His devotee put his feet on the Lord, because on the chariot he has to put his foot on his shoulder to direct him to go left, to direct him to go right, or you know. So Krishna is Bhagavad-Gita. He even takes a foot of his devotee, and you know, that's amazing, because we know about the feet, actually. You know, we don't want to point out feet at the spiritual master. We don't want to point out feet at the devotees. We don't want to, you know, put our feet out in front of the deities. But here, his devotee was putting his foot on Krishna's back. You know? He's... how is he? He's fighting, so he can't put down his weapons to to direct Krishna. He has to maintain his weapons, so he has to use his feet.
Before the battle started.
Mhm.
During the battle.
During the battle.
Turn left,
Turn left, turn right.
That's how all the charioteers were diverted.
Yes, yes, that's how they.
Sort of instructions actually.
Huh?
It is a sort of instructions.
Mhm. Okay, so then Arjuna asked Krishna, take me to the middle of the battlefield so I can see who I'm fighting with. And so why did Arjuna do that? He knew who was out there. He lived with them. He knew who was on whose side and who's out there to fight with them. He knew who the opposition was. So in the earlier text 25, it's saying now, and then Krishna replies to him when he takes him out there. He says to him, "Behold the Kurus." So what did he mean when he told Arjuna that? So in the purport it says, did Arjuna want to stop there and not fight? Krishna never expected such things from the son of his aunt Pritha. The mind of Arjuna was thus predicted by the Lord in friendly joking. So Krishna knew that Arjuna was going to, start having some problems. It's already hinted at here in text 25. So then Krishna takes him out to the middle, but he directly positions him in front of Bhishma and Dronacharya, so he could see them directly. And from this class I was listening to, what the devotee brought up is how, in this way, Krishna also manages our life. He brings, this hit home with me because I was thinking how, a lot of situations that have been coming my way lately are things that Krishna has just taking myself right out to the battlefield and showing me, okay, this is, what you have to deal with. He's showing me. So when I was reading this is what I was thinking about, that Krishna, this is how he does. He brings exactly what we want to avoid. He brings it right in front of your face. Like, you have to look at this. This is what's going on with you. So I want you to, face it and deal with it, right? But it's not that he's wanting us to fail, because Krishna always wants his devotees to be victorious. And he wouldn't put us in that test if he didn't think we could handle it, But he wants us to, start getting purified. It's purification, If there are things we need to look at, then, then he says, okay, here it is. And I found, since being in Vrindavan, it's so much more intense, that whatever issues you're dealing with or whatever anarthas or things you're trying to avoid, Krishna knows. So he's just like, okay, look at this, look at that, look at this, and, okay. And then he wants to see, okay, what are you going to do in this challenging situation? Are you going to fold? Are you going to check out? Or are you going to turn to me? Are you going to turn to me? So also this Gandiva, the bowl, it says that it was shaking, So the devotee that I was listening to was also pointing out that this Gandiva represents our reactions to challenges. We get kind of shaky, We know that some situations, we're like, okay, how can I really handle this? How can I, react, Because sometimes the first reaction is like, oh no, you get bewildered. and the mind just starts going, you know, thinking about so many options, you know, then the doubts start coming and our mind gets distraught, you know. So Krishna wants to know, are we determined to serve him in any circumstances, you know? So I want to read, you know, like, so Krishna is our well-wisher, and I was hearing that Krishna is endeared by us. And I really like the way that sounded, you know, like, I mean, we see in the endeared, we're very dear to him. He's totally in love with us as his parts and parcels, you know? And he wants to be endeared to us. He wants us to also, like, love him in that way, you know, like, relate to him in that way. So it means that we have to always, you know, like, remember Krishna's qualities and learn how to develop, you know, like, love for him. Not love for anything in the material world, but love for Krishna. So I wanted to read, you know, like, some of the Krishna's qualities. I think it's in this chapter. I hope I put the right one. Anyway, I don't think I did, but I mean, we've all had experience in our devotional life how Krishna is very kind to us. No, I don't think there's anyone here who can say that Krishna has not been kind, you know, and seen us through so many difficulties. And we don't have to face difficulties that Prahlad Maharaj faced, because, at least for me, so I would totally, like, just pass out just at the thought of, you know, being dumped in boiling oil, or being put in some place where there are snakes, or, you know, like, because I'm still on the Bali platform, you know, to think about having to go through that. So what we have to go through is nothing compared to what, you know, a person like Prahlad Maharaj had to go through. So, you know, we have such a sublime process for trying to understand and love Krishna. And, you know, he's right up there on the altar, and we can always, like, pray to him and you know, like, whatever difficulties we have, whatever we're struggling with, we just lay him at his lotus feet. You know? And remember how dear we are to him. Oh yeah, like Draupadi, you know, like, she was holding tight because she thought she could do it. You know, she thought, I'm the one protecting myself. I mean, she could see that there was nobody there in the court who was going to do. Even 5 husbands she had, and nobody, not one of them could do anything. None of her, you know, her elders, you know, they all were, like, looking down. Like, they had no ability to do anything. No one wanted to speak up, no one. So what could she do but just put her hands up and just say, okay, I surrender. What can I do? There's nobody here who can do anything. It's only Krishna. You know, and it's said that because she did that, Krishna really, you know, was indebted to her just for calling out to him like that. So this is an example for us, you know, whenever we have something that's, you know, like, totally disturbing. We have no control over it. So we have to raise our hands and surrender, you know, at his lotus feet. Okay, so let me just talk a little bit about this reaction of Arjuna was, where am I? So we all know, we know a situation when I think, in our past it's probably happened, at least I know for me, sometimes you're in a situation and, you're working for this person or you're doing something and then you're like, why am I doing this? I'm not getting anything out of it. Why should I do this? This doesn't make sense. Let me just get out of here, because we're all thinking about what can I get from this. I'm not getting anything. You're just doing it all for yourself, so goodbye. Like that. So Arjuna represents all of us, in this Bhagavad-Gita. He was, affected by the material conditions. And when he saw his whole family, in-laws, son-in-law, brothers-in-law, whatever, he just, got weak and started relating to them as his family. And I have to kill my family, So he was on the material platform, apparently on the material platform, And he was thinking that his victory would only be a cause of lamentation, because he actually wanted to enjoy with them, and he couldn't enjoy with them if he had to kill them. He was like, I can't enjoy with them, if I have to kill them. We're supposed to be a happy family, live together, enjoy, share like that. But he was on the so. That's when, he puts down his doubts begin, and he starts giving Krishna all these reasons why, okay, I can't fight. But then Krishna had to give him Atmagan, to let him know you're not the body, nor are you killing anybody. So, like, do what I want you to do, So I'll end the class here with, so we just need to surrender to Krishna, and he'll figure it all out. Not that we don't do anything on our part, but we don't think that we're the controllers of anything. We're not. Krishna's controller, and he'll decide the outcome for all of us. And it's always for our best welfare, because he's our ever well-wisher and our dearest friend. And he says it throughout the Gita. I'm your best friend. I'm the one that's taking care of you. Just surrender unto me and forget everything else. And then you don't have to worry about anything. No fear. You won't have any fear. Just surrender to me. Take shelter of me. Then you won't be miserable. It'll end your suffering. So I'll end here and open it up for comments, questions, critiques. Anything. Hare Krishna. Prabhu? Get them. Is the mic there?
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
First of all, thank you very much.
You are.
What I wanted to ask is that it seems that when we join the Hare Krishna movement, as I can speak for myself, a materialist, coming to a spiritual paradigm that is way beyond me. I couldn't understand it, but I was attracted by the devotees. And then when you first want to be a devotee, the easiest thing is to kind of reject all these family, thinking about mother and father and family. It's very easy to say, forget all about that. I'm just out for Krishna.
Yes.
But it's artificial. You don't really feel
Yes.
that way. And so we have to learn to esteem. It seems almost paradoxical or ironic. We have to learn to esteem the conditioned souls and the family members and the sinful people, including ourselves.
Yes.
So, could you speak a little bit about that?
Well, when you were speaking, I was just thinking of one person in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Priyavrata, is that him? That's the one who didn't want to have a family. He didn't want to get married. But Brahma had to come to convince him because he just wanted to renounce. But Brahma came because he had to be talked into it. But still, he went into family life. He took very nice care of his family. But still, he remained, and he was promised that you would still be a devotee of Krishna. But at this time, this is what I want you to do. And so he took very nice care of his family. And he was affectionate to his family, but he wasn't attached. You know? So it's not that, you know, you just throw him out and say, okay, go away. Not like that, because that just alienates them, and they will not want to, you know, like, they'll think really negatively of the Krishna consciousness movement, that we're telling people to leave their families. You know, so we can still be, you know, like, affectionate, responsible, practice our Krishna consciousness, but just have a little bit of detachment to know that eventually, you know, we will have to separate, that this is temporary, but let me give my love and attention to them, to encourage them, and to help bring them. Is that okay?
Yes.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Add something.
Yes.
Just like we see when Krishna is driving the chariot, he is holding the reins of the horses. The reins of horses are of leather, and his hand is too tender. He is holding his reins, and also he is having the whip in his hand for this one. This is also made of leather, and hands are made of leather. So his hands are very tender, and he is holding those reins for the sake of his devotee.
Mm-hmm.
He is doing everything.
Yes.
In the material world, just like we are driving a car. When we are driving the car, everything we do it by the foot. So similarly, here Arjuna is doing everything by his foot.
Yes.
This is the thing.
Yes.
And another thing, after the war was ended and he kills everyone, he said, how will I enjoy the kingdom? And after getting the kingdom, and how they could enjoy the kingdom when all his family members were dead. So this is the point I want to know more about it. How did they enjoy the kingdom after killing all his grandfather and brothers? So who were there to rule the kingdom? Mostly all the women were there. He said all the women will be widow, and unless things will be happening. So how this, the end of the part of the war, after the war, when they ruled the kingdom, how it was, it is not mentioned everywhere in here.
Well, I don't know, but I do know that Yudhisthira was also very distraught about having killed. He just was very, he was lamenting that all of these people had to be killed. And he had to be, so this is the reason why Krishna sent him to speak with Bhishma laying on the battlefield, to help Yudhisthira assume his responsibility and to understand that this plan for this annihilation of the kings was Krishna's plan. So he went to speak with Bhishma, and Bhishma gave him directions on how to rule the kingdom. He shared his wisdom with him. Mm-hmm. Anyone else? Yes.
Thank you for a wonderful class. I was wondering, you said sometimes Krishna drives us out into the middle of the battlefield and he makes us look at the things we don't want to face.
Yes.
And it's kind of a test, you said, to see how, if we really want to serve him. And I mean, sometimes we fail that test, and sometimes we succeed in facing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wondering if you have some advice on, maybe from your own life, what you do when Krishna makes you face the stuff. And
I go through a lot of mental agitation. But in the end, the only thing I can do is, talk to Krishna in the end. Because first you have to have faith in Krishna. Then you have to feel like Krishna loves me. And that even though I may fail, because I think, I don't know who and I were talking, there was this little drawing somewhere, I don't know, in some book it was a little hand drawing, and there was a devotee being dragged by the hair by Krishna. And Krishna said, you started this process, now you're going to come and finish. I just always remember that, So failure doesn't mean, that Krishna is going to say, oh, you're a failure. No, he loves you. He sees the struggle. He sees it. And he sees that you're trying.
Yeah, I think it's the sense of failure that makes us...
Yeah, but the tests are going to be there. And I don't think there's failures in spiritual life. Because whatever you do, whether you stay or not, those spiritual credits go with you. And Krishna always remember the service. And there's so many stories of devotees who have left their body and Srila Prabhupada came to get them. Krishna never forgets. You make one step, he takes 10. So he's not going to just nonsense. Anything? Anybody else? Okay. Thank you all so very much for coming to the Gita class. Hare Krishna. Thank you for enlivening me. Very well.